after a last video, and I explained about how I struggle with centre punches, somebody commented about transfer punches. So okay, I'll Google that and have a look, see what's about. A transfer punch was close to what we need, but that just pushes through existing holes and punches a hole through. Well, I will need those in the future, but what I need now is what Google then explained to me is a transfer screw. So it's basically a bit of thread with a point at the end, which you thread into the area you want to transfer the holes across from, and then knock a bit of metal against. So I think we can make those, and it's certainly worth a try. So I've got a bit of threaded rod here from Screwfix, cheap enough, high tensile stuff. So in my head, high tensile means it's stronger. So we'll see what happens with that. So we'll put this in a drill, grind the end to a point, and see what happens. See if it will work. Yeah, looks quite nice and central. Eyes on. Ears on. Okay, so that's nice and pointy and sharp. So theoretically, that should work. Let's give it a go.
Pinch of my slogans from my YouTube channel now, Div.
That's quite warm. So obviously this would be a lot shorter if we're using it properly, but the idea of this is to see if it will actually even work at all. So there's a bit of metal we've messed around with the centre punch on. You can see that's what we should be getting, and let's see what we do get.
Yeah.
Okay, that's worked a treat. That's even dented it. Okay, that didn't work, clearly. So, problem is then that is too soft, so we need to harden that up. So I think it's time to do some Googling and heat treatment and revisit this idea. We shall return. So we are learning as we're doing this. So the first lot we did, we tried to use the end of a bolt, and that didn't work. Then we tried using threaded rod, which is high tensile stuff. We thought that would work, but that didn't work. So what we're going to try next is the head of a bolt. So what I do remember from bolts, when the bolts are made, they're basically a single piece of bar about so big, and the thread is squashed in rather than cut effectively, and the head is forged into place, so just squashed into that shape. So that makes all that area forged and a lot tougher. So we'll stick this in the lathe and lathe that down, and then we'll lay the point on the end of it, and then we'll have a play with heat treating, because that is the key according to Google. So let's bang in. And if you don't have a lathe, the same way as we showed earlier with using a drill and a bolt and a drill and a grinder, who do exactly the same thing, but I have a lathe, so I might as well use it. I've already got a connector nut in there to use as a holding thing for holding the screw, because it's a lot easier than trying to put a screw straight into there, because it'd be all over the place. So whack that in there and use that nut to lock it off into place. With the Spaniard. And one thing about, which is nice with the lathe, it's a lot quieter than a grinder and a drill. So, I have no doubt there's machinists out there which are cringing horribly at the way I'm using this, but nobody showed me how to use a lathe properly, so I just make it up as I go along. Yes, okay, so pleased with the way that's come out. That's nice and pointy. If I had, what I could do with is a setup here where I can cut at an angle, but I don't have that, so I just waggle around the wheels until it points in the right direction.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, okay. So what we got to do now is heat treat that, and then it should be okay, because something I've learned is, because Google told me, is you can test for hardness using a file. So you run some, if you can file it off, it's soft. If it skips over the file, it's hard. So something like tool steel like this, you're never going to file that. That's got to be ground. But this will file at the moment, so what we need to do is harden it up. Again, Googling all this, I found that the trick is to heat this up until it glows hot enough to the point where it loses its magnetism. So I've got quite a powerful magnet there, and you'll see that's grabbing hold of that. So if we warm this up till it glows, just to the point where it loses its magnetism, that's when it's hard. I probably shouldn't have used a bolt which is zinc coated. The zinc's not very good for you when you burn it. Still a bit magnetic. That's lost its magnetism there now. There we go. Into the water. Oh, we may have a go at doing this into oil as well, because apparently it does make a difference how it quenches the steel. Okay, so what we got there now, if you try the file on it, is hard. You can hear that skipping over the file. It's not even making edgeways into that point, which is just exactly what we want. But apparently this would be now too hard, so if I use that as a point, it will just smash the end off. So what we need to do next is temper it. But before we can temper it, we need to have that back to bright steel, because we need to see the colours as it warms up. So let's clean it up. Yeah, that should do us. So the idea now is to get the heat into it and watch the colour rise, and when it gets to the top and it gets to like a nice blue colour there, then douse it. There it goes. Right, that should now be, theoretically speaking, usable punch. So let's give it a go. Screw that in. And smack it with a hammer and see what happens. Look at that.
That's nice.
and that has not damaged that at all, unlike the other ones which just peened over.
It's like hitting a Kellogg's box, isn't it?
So it was. So happy days. Thank you, Google. You have given us the answer to making our own transfer punches. So what I'll do is I'll make a couple more, then I can use them in the future then for when I'm doing all sorts. So for example, the next thing I'm going to be making on this engine eventually, or not the next video, but eventually, will be engine mounts. So we'll need transfer punches to go across those. I think that's where we mount the engine off on these. I've forgotten. Was it those? Oh no, it's those ones. So on the, I think we mounted off those two and those two, because those two are for the alternator arrangement. So that's, so what we need is M10, same as this but with M10 and 4 made, and then hold a plate on one. What I'll probably do is divot one to get us started and smack the plate onto all of them, and then happy days. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But there you go, we've made our own transfer screws. Happy days.